Okay, Dee, so you told me in part one that it's impossible to be a full-time on-course bookmaker. So tell us about Bingo, your business off course.
Yeah. So I said I started with Mr. Bookmaker in the early 2000s. I moved from Malta for that. Then after that I went to London. From let's say that it's from Mr. Bookmaker to Unibet. We had to be there for a couple of more years, but I stayed in London for around 6-7 years. Then I came back to Belgium, started up the Napoleon sports betting business, not Napoleon game that is, and then a couple of years later, Yuri Empens, the CEO of Bingo, he asked me, could you help me out? I need some help in bookmaking wise, I don't have too much knowledge about that, and it would be great if you could help me out. I told you the story about my father, who was helped by his father, let's say 30 years ago, so that's where it all started. Because of his father, I am where I am now. So I couldn't resist, and I immediately said yes. And we went on since 2013. This now, we have a great partnership. It's going very well. Yeah. So and Bingo at the moment is the inheritance is, let's say, coming from horses. So we started both over there. So that's what we have in common, and that went to sports betting. We are active at the moment in Belgium and the Netherlands. In Belgium we have an offline and an online business, so we have shops. I think we have around 40 shops. We have around 200-300 agencies where we have a kiosk or something where our product is sold. We are growing still every day, and since October last year we have our license in Belgium, in the Netherlands, sorry. We have our license in the Netherlands, but as only Belgian bookmaker, we were the first one who got our Dutch license, and so we were one of the 11. It was quite an achievement for us at that moment. That was quite, let's say, a milestone for Bingo.
Okay, would you take bets on UK racing, German racing, or is it specifically Belgian?
We are specifically Belgium and France. France is that's where, let's say, all the Belgians are betting on, especially the trotting. UK racing is a bit smaller, in the shops it's still living, but let's say the French product is product number one, and Arc de Triomphe, Prix d'Amérique, Prix de Diane, all these, that are the main races where everyone in Belgium, let's say, is interested in.
Okay, now my background is racecourse bookmaking, so I'm very interested in how it all works. So can I just run through some basic questions about how it works and see how it differs, and we're going to find out later as well. But so when you're on course, who's the first person to price a race? Excuse me.
Good question. There's no one that is appointed to that. What happens is, if a race has finished, we wait till we have the official result, we pay out, and as soon as we pay out, someone will open, and that depends really from race to race. It will be me, it could be my neighbor, it could be the first one. However, in gallop, we have one, let's say, specialist who knows the most about galloping, and we all tend to look at him to open. But in trotting, we have a few others who also do that. It's a bit, yeah, it's a bit how you feel the race. But we start to open as soon as possible, and there's no, let's say, agreement. You open first or you open first. So yeah, it's done randomly.
Okay, so did you spend hours last night looking at the form and working at your prices? Have you got them all in your head?
I did not spend hours and hours, but at least I know the dangerous races today. I know where I have to pay attention. I know, yeah, especially that. I'm doing the paperwork, but not in too many detail, because I have, okay, that's my approach at least. Everyone does different, but I prefer to feel what's going on the pitch itself than getting stuck in one idea. I don't want to be too narrow-minded. If I think a horse needs to be 6-1 and it's only 3-1 and they back it at 3-1, I will not be hard-headed and say, okay, this is a massive lay, I go for it. Of course, I will maybe take a bit more on than normal, but my experience learns that I'm listening to the money that comes in. The money is telling the truth, and I tend to follow that. Also, I'm like in galloping, I'm not a specialist. Okay, I can't read the kilos and all these things, and the valeur that we say in French that they put on it. But let's say that my public that is in front of me is teaching me or telling me what I should put on my board.
Okay, now you say that there's only 8 pitches here now. I assume that 1 is still better than 8 or 8 better than 1, whichever way it is. Do you all have to pay the same amount of money to bet?
Yeah. So it's interesting you say that. We are all near each other, and in a way how it works is the one who arrives last gets the last place. So in a way, at least 30 and 40 years ago, the one who's most on the left, he's the oldest, and he started so many years ago, and that should be the best pitch. And then it goes on and so on. So the one who's in the last position should theoretically have the worst pitch. However, I'm the youngest now. I'm on the last position already for my whole life, and I don't have the worst pitch at all, because what is the first and the last pitch is a bit the same. Having said that, the difference because we're all close to each other, there's not such a huge difference. I mean, my father, for example, he's in the middle. What could be considered as a bad place, but every week he has the biggest turnover. So, what is a good and a bad pitch? The thing is, we pay a percentage on our turnover, and that's what we pay. So the more turnover you do, the more you pay. And the less turnover you do, the less you pay. So that's a bit how it works. There's also a small fixed fee we pay, but turnover dictates what we have to pay.
Okay, so that's turnover and not profit. So I assume that you guys have to bet to a fairly healthy margin. Yeah. Do you sort of have a unwritten agreement about somebody not making, betting to no profit?
No, actually no. We don't have any agreement at all. The one who opens it he will know. Okay, this will be, let's say 170, 180, and that's how it happened today. We start very weak, let's say, and it gets much sharper very fast. So no, there is no agreement at all. What makes that in certain circumstances, I'm staying out, or just not. I'm very aggressive, because if the percentage is going for me, I'm say, okay, this is the moment now. I have to be aggressive, and now and again I just say, okay, this is totally not attractive. The issue we have a little bit is that it's an attractive percentage for us, but most of the races they bet 2, 3, 4 horses. If there are 10 runners, they only bet 3, 4, 5, and with these 3, 4, 5 you don't get out of the 100. Of course, if some of the other ones wins, that's of course a great race, but this is not happening enough at the moment. So that's one. Second, we don't have a reference. We just have to open ourselves, just on gut feeling. We always go sharper, and then it goes back again. And now and again, if they start to bet a horse with bigger amounts, let's say, and you have the wrong odds, I mean, you took on the highest odds, then it becomes a very difficult race, and it becomes very difficult to get out of that. And some bookmakers, they start to force all the others to get out of that, what is even worse, because then you're even worse in another. So it all depends race by race, very different, you will see.
And is everything cash, or do you take cards now as well?
Everything is still cash. Of course, we have now tools where people can pay with a mobile, or they go to let's say there's an ATM here where people can withdraw some cash. But everything is still paid in cash, paid out in cash. What is not great for the business, because cash is getting out of everyone's pocket. But it's a cash business, and that makes it that's fun, because you still feel it.
Okay, and what would you consider to be a big bet here today, or a general meeting, normal meeting? What would be?
It depends on race by race. What is it like? For example, in a race with 3-year-old or 2-years-old, then a big bet is 300-400 euros, and then you say, okay, if it's at 3-1, that's considered as a big bet. If it's in a big race, let's say with horses that we all know, 300-400 is also a big bet, but is a common happens now and again. Let's say the most of the most bets, or the minimum is €5, that's the minimum, but between 5 and €100 that are the most of the bets, and then you take some 100, 200, 300, 400s, but that will also be on favorites, for example. We hardly take let's say 500 at 12 to 1. That's something that's rare. That's rare.
Okay, I was going to. So how do you call and recall the bets? Is it done on a computer? Do you still write them in a book?
Yeah, it's still the old-fashioned way. It's all. I have to do it all. What I mean is I have to take the money. I have to pronounce the bet. I have to give cash back. I have to give the ticket, and I have an accountant with me who's writing down everything in a book. So that's still the way like it worked, let's say in 1960 or so.
Yeah.
So nothing has changed there. What is also nice in a way, because it's still the old, let's say the olden days, and you fly back in time almost. So that's all the old-fashioned way. Yeah.
Okay, so when a punter has a bet with you, if it's 5 to 1, do they get 5 to 1, and that's there regardless of what happens afterwards?
Exactly. So they bet out fixed odds. They get what they get what is on the pitch. On the board, what happens now and again, that some punters, for example, I have 2 to 1, but my neighbor has 2.5. Yeah, it's okay. Because I have it, but they come to me. They say, "Listen, I'm coming every race to you. Neighbor has 2.5. Do we give €50 or whatever?" Of course, that are the best punters. They come to you. They come specific for you, and they say, "Okay, give me what's next door."
Okay, now I know that this is difficult because it depends on the type of a race, but how much money would it take for your horse on your board to change from 5 to 1, say, into 2 to 1?
Yeah. As you say, it depends very much on the race. If it's a 2-year-old race, not much. I mean, €300 could do it. If it's only for me, if it's a big race, yeah, you drop 1 point, 2 points, and then that's about it. So from 5 to 1 to 2 to 1, I mean that means I have to take €500 to €1,000 on it if it yeah.
And
on stake, yeah.
Does it depend a lot on who has had the bet?
Yeah, for sure. On the other hand, it's the people that do bet the bigger amounts. We all know them. It's almost always the same people. So, and we know where they get their information from, and where they know some trainers and some owners and some jockeys, and then of course if these are coming on a certain horse, yeah, you have to pay attention. So yes, you will change yours according to who's betting.
Okay, now I'm not sure I'm going to be able to replicate it, even if you can do it, but do you use racing slang? So do you have it like in England, for example, 2 to 1's a bottle, 3 to 1's a carpet? Do you have that sort of equivalent?
No, not really. We have a few things. The thing is, on the odds itself, it's all in French. Like in evens, we say égalité. That means the same. 4 to 6, we say 6-4. So all the odds are in French pronounced. But yeah, you have the top one, the bottom one, but it's not that we have so much things that we use. No, that's it. And if we have some slang, it's all French.
Okay. Now, is there a starting price returned from the racecourse in the results? Did they take the prices from you guys?
No, there isn't. That doesn't exist. Starting price is something that no one knows here in Belgium. So no, we don't have that. That's never existed. No.
So you get a tote return?
Yeah, you have a tote.
Yeah, so you do know if something was a 33 to 1 or a 2 to 1.
Yeah.
So is there like a form book? Can you get form?
Yeah. You have a form. You have, let's say, papers that are printed out, and you can see. Listen, that's all the last results. That's possible, yeah. But we don't have official prices. Where we said starting price was this or that. What happens today, for example, today you have 3 ways to bet. You can bet with the bookmakers, traditional bookmakers. You can bet with a local tote. We have a local tote here. What is okay, because it has some money on it, because there are quite some people here. And today we are also betting with the French PMU. So there are 3 different, let's say, pools or 3 different ways of betting. So smart punters of course they know where to go. Or the bookmakers has the biggest odds, or the French tote, or the Belgian tote. So there are some references in that. The disadvantages of the tote is, however, it's very big in front, that it's only formed in the last, let's say, 2-3 minutes, and it all happens there. So if you bet in the morning, you have no clue what you're gonna get in the evening. So as I said, everyone is betting in the last 30 seconds, and there it happens.
And your price is bigger or shorter than the tote?
Oof, that will be 50-50. I think for the favorites, we're gonna be bigger. For the outsiders, I think the tote will be bigger.